I was gonna say ring ring, money ain't a thing, but then I remember it's bling bling, money ain't a
You talking about
thing.
coming around your
But
city, bling, bling.
exactly. But it's a play on words. Ring ring, money ain't a thing. Because
I
I'm
have
answering
never
the
heard that in
phone.
my life. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Well, I just made it up and I think it's cool.
That's fine. Black added, a blackety black for Black History Month. Black added again for another not so
Another.
another.
Yes, guys, it is Black History Month. We out here doing things, celebrating, all day, day for 28 days.
365. 365.
The 28 days they give us, we gonna do them big, like extra big. 365, I feel like we do it big every day, but then the 28 days in February, it seemed like it just kind of grows times
We
10.
put our black on parade, like
Ooh, we
Beyonce said.
do.
We do. You can't tell us nothing.
Period. How was your
So
weekend?
my weekend was pretty chill. I didn't do too much. Went out to eat. Went to a Brazilian steakhouse.
Ooh.
Changed my whole life. I will probably not eat at another one for another like year or two because we stuffed ourselves. It
I
was
was gonna say you probably like 10
amazing.
pounds of meat in one night.
Jesus, it was amazing.
We have one here. I've never tried it.
Try it. That's all
Apparently
I'm gonna say.
they carry the meat
Yeah.
around on a
Mm-hmm.
stick around the restaurant and cut it for you right there
Mm-hmm.
at the
Mm-hmm.
table.
Oh, it was perfect. It was perfect. You should try it. Everybody should try
Hey,
it.
fancy.
So last week we talked to Rashawn about relationships. We talked about terms and conditions, love languages, and he
Mm-hmm.
really like broke down his whole journey of finding himself
Yeah.
after a relationship came to an end,
Mm-hmm.
and
A lesson.
a very important
Mm-hmm.
lesson learned. And I feel like we
Mm-hmm.
are going to talk to him again sooner
We
rather than
will.
later because it
Rashawn
was
is one of
so
few.
good. Yes.
One of few.
And he was dropping gems. Shout out to everybody who basically hit me up like, wow. Like, and then a
Right.
lot of people like text me or send me a DM saying that they shared the podcast with like a family
Mm-hmm.
member, friend, or somebody actually said that they shared the podcast with an ex of theirs. And it was
Ooh.
actually very well received. So,
Oh, great. I love it when
yeah.
people are open-minded.
Yeah, he was like, I think we're actually going to get back together because I've been
Mm-hmm.
working on me. And I was like, yes, sir. That's what we
Okay.
like to hear. So
Okay.
I thought that was pretty interesting. Rashawn always comes on and we have these really great
Yeah.
conversations. They make you think, they make you laugh, they
Mm-hmm.
make you look in the mirror. So
They
shout out to
do.
him. He'll be back very, very,
Yeah, oh
very
yeah,
soon.
yeah. Thanks, Rashawn.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So before we get to the focal point of this week's Not So Private Conversation, I need to get something off my chest.
So,
And I already did
mm.
on Instagram and Twitter, but this is my podcast, so
I don't even know
I
what
get
this
to
is
say.
because I haven't looked at neither one of these all week.
Oh, it's totally fine. But so you know that movie Malcolm and Marie on Netflix came out with John David
Mm-hmm.
Washington and Zendaya.
Right.
John David Washington is Denzel Washington's son.
Yes.
And initially, when I saw the trailer, I was intrigued. I wanted to see the movie. And
Mm-hmm.
so I sat down, got under my nice little blanket on Sunday evening, and tried to watch the movie. You
How did
heard
that
me say
go?
tried.
Tried. Yeah, I was like, how did that go?
I do not have the words for how bad it was.
No.
Actually, yes, I do. I do have the words.
Okay. Okay.
They could have kept that film. It
So,
was
in
pointless.
what areas did you not like it?
None of it from start to finish. The only thing that was good about that movie was the music. Not a single word said from either character was worth the time that I
You
spent
said
watching.
Zendaya, right? Was the
And I love
co-star?
Zendaya. I love
So,
her.
God, I'm like,
It was
oh,
annoying. It was
okay.
pointless. It had no direction. And
Okay.
so I say it's annoying, and like, you know, a lot of pseudo deep fake movie critics, you know, the people on Twitter who think they
So
just
wait.
know.
Would you compare it to The Photograph?
No, hell no. Has
So
nothing
which
to do
one
with has nothing to do with nothing. I would watch The Photograph for the rest
is
of
it
my
a
life
love
before I
story?
ever
What's the genre? Because I don't know.
trash. The genre
You
is
feel so
trash.
strongly about this.
I hate like the movie was garbage.
So is it an action film?
No.
No.
It's a film that is just chock full of dialogue. It's shot in black and white. I know the director, the writer, whoever was going for it to be like this really deep in the thick of a
Right.
toxic relationship type of film, and it wasn't. It was trash. It was bad. It was
Ah.
bad. It
Oh.
like if you were able to make it through the film, LDBs, I have one question for you. How? How did you make it through this film? And
A
then
lot of liquor.
if you actually liked the film and you didn't see the major red flags and the issues with the film, I don't have any more questions. I just need you to know that I'm judging you. That's it. So, how about them Bucks?
Okay. Number one, F them Bucks, you know. Although Tom Brady did kind of prove that it doesn't matter who he plays for, he's still gonna bring home that ring.
Point taken.
Anyways, we're not gonna talk about that right now because the Saints didn't make it to the Super Bowl, so it doesn't matter.
I'm so upset. I won another Saints Super Bowl. It's been too long.
Right, it
I know
has.
a lot of like Saints haters will be like, y'all are lame, y'all are weak or whatever.
Whatever. We got cheated out of that last Super Bowl. Everyone knows it.
But let's actually talk about the Super Bowl. Not necessarily the football that was played, but the stuff that I
Right.
would typically pay attention to. The halftime show.
So
Did you watch
didn't
any
watch
of
it.
Okay. I was gonna say, did you watch any of it? Because I didn't.
We were supposed to, but you know, we end up like not.
Mm-hmm.
So I think Jordan
I didn't
watched
plan
it.
on
I
watching it at
didn't.
all. I didn't watch a
How was the
single
weekend?
bit of. I heard.
Okay, because I didn't hear anything. I
I
saw hers. I saw hers performance on Instagram, and I was like, she is going to be the second coming of Prince if she keeps going the way she is.
Her was fantastic. Jasmine
Mhm.
Sullivan, you know, she is
Of course,
killing
I don't
it.
even have the best singer alive. Okay,
But the Weeknd. So somebody said if that was the Weeknd, then they were looking forward to Monday because it was hot garbage. And I was like,
hot poochie's garbage.
wow, cheese. They said it was trash
Really? You know, I had a coworker yesterday who was
and
like,
inaccurate.
"Oh my God, The Weeknd, man, I love him so much. He's the greatest of all time." And I looked at him, and of course, he was like 22, 23. And I was just like, I mean, everyone has their own opinions. And the inside, I was thinking,
22,
nigga,
23.
is you serious?
You
I couldn't
were
respond like that at work.
it's 2021.
Of
You
all
were
time.
you were a newborn in 2000. Like,
Oh my
shut
God.
up.
I was like, what?
You're an
Of
infant in
all
2000.
time, of all time. But
Words
you know
mean
what? I
things,
think
people.
The Weeknd thinks he is as well.
You know what? I'm not a Weeknd fan. I'm not a
I'm not
Weeknd
either.
hater.
I'm not either. I
I'm not a
listen to
fan.
some of his music. I just don't think that his music, I think he has some good songs, some great songs. I just don't think that the other ones are as great.
I know a lot of people who love him, and
Me too,
that's
girl.
fine.
It's like a
But
cult-like following.
personally, in my opinion, ain't worth that much. But I'm not feeling him, his persona, what he's trying
Mm-mm.
to do, like the message he's
Mm-mm.
trying to put forth. I just have no interest in him, and that's fine because that's just me. I
Right.
haven't listened to his material since 2011 when
Right.
his first little, I don't know if it was an EP or mixtape, House of Balloons. When House of Balloons came out, I was a fan of The Weeknd.
Don't
But
even know when that came
I
out. Don't
mean,
even know
that
what
was
album. I don't
in
know one name of one album.
That's the only one that I really, really know. That was when he was still like pretty indie or underground, whatever you call it. I'm not a fan of his anymore. He changed complete directions with his movie. I know he wants to be more pop, that's where the money is. That's where he wants to be, which is totally fine. I personally am just not feeling it. House of Balloons was dope. I'll still listen to that to this day. That got me through many a college night.
Mm-hmm.
But
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that.
Yeah, that
I
one
probably know the songs, just don't
Yeah.
know that it's on that album because I really don't keep track of album names.
That's when he was like brand spanking new. But I think, of course, it's hilarious. The memes lit him up. Black Twitter flamed him to the high heavens. They said his show, like his show looked like a Kappa probate. I was like, here's what it is. This was not the most entertaining Super Bowl, I gather. So, whatevs. But speaking of sports, you said you had something on your mind.
Yes. Oh my God. Amazing segue. Oh my gosh. Yes.
I be doing it.
I'll be best.
I hate you, dog. I hate you. But you did say you had something on your mind about coaching. Oh my gosh.
It was as Jordan was watching the Super Bowl and something happened or something was said. And I looked at Jordan and I said, oh yeah, there's probably not any women like NFL coaches. Like, of course, there's no head coaches. And he was like, nah. And I was like, huh. There's not that many women head WNBA coaches. And he was like, yeah, there's more men WNBA head coaches than women. And I said, what kind of shit is this? Like that is how this whole thing got started. And that's why when I spoke to you earlier today and you was like, well, this conversation would be perfect for Darrius, I was like, great, because you were saying how he Mr. ESPN. So I would love to get to know his take on it, because how ridiculous is that? There's we have made so many strides in so many different ways, and it just blows my mind. I mean, one part of me can understand how there's not that many NBA women coaches, but the WNBA?
I think there are some WNBA coaches.
But there's less than half.
Like I was telling you earlier, it is a male dominated. In general, it's just male dominated.
Sports, period.
Yeah.
Sports, period.
I was even thinking back to when because I've played sports since I was literally. I
was thinking the same thing. I know exactly what you're about to say. Go ahead.
I've only had 2 female coaches my entire sports career.
Same.
I had one assistant baseball coach that was a woman before I started playing for high school. I lied. Let me take that back. I've had 3 female coaches. Maybe I might not be proving the point. But I can count on one hand of all the coaches. I've had 3, and one of them was my mom. She coached me in basketball. Yeah. So it's like, other than that, the only reason why I played for that specific team was because my mom said, I'm going to coach you. And my mom she played in high school. She played in college. And honestly, if the WNBA was around when my mom was playing for real, she could have been in the WNBA. Like, she was cold. So, but like, I've had way more male coaches than female coaches. And I think that is true for every athlete
sport
out there.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be just professional sports, because when I went back and I read up on college sports, is the same thing. And then when I think about my own experience in high school, it was the same. I only had 1 female coach. The other 2, actually I should say 4, were male, because it was a head coach and assistant coach for each. So let's get Darrius on the phone so we can see his insight on it and like how he feels about it, because y'all say he Mr. ESPN, but I don't know
He's a walking TV channel full of all things sports related. He could absolutely have his own sports commentary spot on any show. Like, somebody should really hire him. Like, put a black brother on, because this boy, he knows what he's talking about. So let's call
Well, let's get
Pipe.
into it.
Call him up.
Hey y'all, what's up? How y'all doing?
D Pipe.
What's up, Darrius?
What's up, y'all? What's up?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much, just sitting in my room.
So I told Jeanne that your nickname was ESPN.
Yeah, it was growing up. That's all they called me.
They don't call you that no more?
They still do.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Mr.
Yes,
ESPN now.
Yeah, now I'm old.
Mr. ESPN.
That's all I did growing up. Just watch ESPN all day. Wake
That's
up in
it.
the morning.
He knows random
facts.
about
I know people's
everything.
contracts by heart. Like, it's weird.
Who does that? It's crazy.
Very weird.
So that's why we thought you would be perfect for this conversation, because Jeanne really had some issues on her mind when it comes to sports and coaching.
Oh my God. Oh my gosh.
Okay.
My mind is actually blown, and it's weird how I came to this realization, because you always know these type of things, but then when it connects in your brain, you're like, what the fuck? So yesterday we were watching the Super Bowl, and as we're watching the Super Bowl, something was said about female coaches. And I looked at Jordan and I said, there's no female coaches in the NFL. And he was like, no. And I was like, there's no female coaches in the NBA, head coaches. And he was like, no. And I said, there's not that many female coaches in the WNBA. And he was like, yeah, it's actually less than half of the WNBA has female coaches. And I was like, wait, what? So I did a little digging on it, and I saw that exclusively for college, like the college division of sports, that before the 1970s, college women basketball had 90% of women head coaches.
Yep.
Yeah, what was that? Title
Right.
IX?
Title IX, yeah. So y'all both heard of Title IX?
Yeah.
Vaguely familiar with it.
Okay, so Darrius, since you're Mr. ESPN, tell me exactly what Title IX is.
Title IX was basically, if I like vaguely remember what it was basically getting more women opportunities in like coaching, whether it was not just coaching, just like opportunities to like coach and be a part of like sports organizations just in general. Because I can't remember exactly where it started, but like women just weren't given the same opportunity as men, especially even going back to like the WNBA started in 93, 4, something like that. Like, don't quote me on the exact date, but like even like that, you had some of the best basketball players in the world, women basketball players. I look at Reggie Miller's sister, who's probably the greatest female basketball player ever. Scored 100 points in a game. She didn't get a chance to play She didn't get a chance to play in the WNBA. She barely played overseas. She tore her knee up. But like Reggie Miller would say all the time, she used to bust him up all the time.
Right.
Like Reggie Miller.
I have heard him say that before.
Yeah, it's been stories about how Reggie Miller scored his career high. I can't remember what it was, but he was like a freshman in high school, and he was all hype. He was like, I scored 37 points, 38 points, something like that. And his dad and his sister was laughing, and she was like, well, I scored 110. Like, so like, yeah. So like people like that didn't get a chance. And she actually like, it's actually a 30 for 30 about that. She actually like, I think it's the USC one, if I'm not mistaken. But she has like multiple documentaries. But like, she actually never got a chance to play pro ball and stuff. All they really had was the USA team. That's how they like stuck all those college like greats together.
Okay.
Cheryl Swoops, who's probably considered who won the first 2 WNBA championships. She played overseas for 8-9 years before. She was old when she came to the WNBA and won the first 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Can you imagine what Reggie Miller's sister, her name's Cheryl Miller, right?
Cheryl Miller.
Can you imagine what Cheryl Miller would have done in the WNBA if she had played?
She's the greatest ever. I still think even without playing in the WNBA, she's the greatest women's basketball player
That's how
ever.
cool she is. Yeah.
Hey. And like you say that, but when you look at what's actually going on, those people who have those great experiences in college are in the WNBA, and you have women in the WNBA who goes to the Hall of Fame and they still aren't offered head coaching jobs for the WNBA. The same teams that they play for, they can't even get a job on.
Nope.
And so another thing about Title IX is when I was reading about it, I saw that they increased the pay. So they were trying to make the funding equal for men and women college sports. And one of the things that ended up happening when they did this was men became more interested in head coaching jobs for women's organized sports because they would get paid more. And once they saw that they can make more money or the same amount of money if they would make coaching a men's team, they started getting all these opportunities and the women actually started getting left behind. So they say that it was a couple of reasons why people felt like women weren't getting the jobs. This is like in the 90s. So they were saying like women aren't interested in positions of power. We have heard this before. Like we have heard this before about the presidency. I've heard this about women being CEOs of company, like running a Fortune 500 company. Like how many times and how many ways we're going to flip this excuse and try to use it to discourage women from trying to advance.
And it's such a lame excuse because you said
exactly
interested.
Interested, and then think about all the times, like Darrius, I know you've probably watched ESPN and you've heard about a coach who got hired who didn't even apply to the job because they reached out to him. So it's like, even if they don't put in their resume, if they have the qualifications, why isn't anyone reaching out to them just like they would do with these men? And then the second excuse that they use is that men, a lot of them, they play the game before they become coaches, so they just understand the game better. But then you think, like, when I read that, I was like, okay, so if that's the fact, why after Title IX don't we have women coaches coaching those teams that they play for? So one of the questions I wanted to ask y'all is, why do y'all think more men are hired, were hired post Title IX? Because although Title IX paid people more, they didn't have to hire majority men. So why do y'all think that changed when it was 90% before? And then once the pay increased, they just kind of left those women behind and replaced them with majority men.
One thing for sure is basically exactly what you just said, like the pay increase. But one of the biggest things is, like, I could just speak from like WNBA experience for sure. Like basically a lot of those names that they were getting as head coaches were like names you heard of that played in the NBA in the 80s. So not only would you have like a draw of people to come see, because in the 90s the WNBA was booming. Like especially when the Comets won back to back, like the WNBA was
titles,
booming.
Right?
Yeah. And so like it was booming, but like you start adding like the name factor, like when they started making money and you go get somebody who played on the Bad Boys, Bill Laimbeer, you go get him and get him to coach a team. And then you go get all these other big names of people who know. And then it started being like, it's a trend. Like I can't think of the other guy's name, but like people who played in that city. Like right now, Derek Fisher is the coach of the Sparks. Everybody know who Derek Fisher is, And like I think that's basically what it is. And I think that's also kind of insane because like a lot of these like WNBA legends or college basketball women legends, they end up going to coach college ball. And I think that's where
Right.
it's at because you have like
But
Dawn
not
Staley.
really. Not really.
Not really, because the biggest name when you say college basketball, women's college basketball, what's the first name you think of? Everybody, what's the first school you think of? Think of UConn. And who's the head coach at UConn? Gino Rem. And that's a male. And so like but I do give like over the last few years, like UConn hasn't been as dominant the last few years. They're still like very, very good. Like they playing the number 1 team in the nation right now. But Dawn Staley,
my girl.
she's the coach of South Carolina. And the last few years, South Carolina has dominated women's college basketball. And like I just think like I think now like I don't think like, to be honest, I think it's a interest interest level too in the WNBA. I don't really think people want jobs in the WNBA right now. Like
why is
I don't
that? Is it because of the lack of revenue and just how things have been going with the WNBA?
I have this theory. Like everybody says the WNBA is boring. I don't think the WNBA is boring at all. I think the WNBA doesn't get as much exposure.
Right.
For the thing that pisses me off the most about it is that like the WNBA is on an umbrella of the NBA. The NBA makes billions upon billions of dollars every season.
Facts.
Nobody is in the stands this year, or barely people are in the stands. It's only 11 teams in the NBA right now that are allowing their stadium to be at 25% capacity, and they're still making millions of dollars because you have NBA TV, you have all they showing games across 174, I think, different countries. So all that money is coming in because China and all those countries are paying the WNBA, the NBA to give them money. But like it's like whenever it's time for the WNBA season to start, it's like they BS like those ladies to play basketball. They play less than 30 game season or something like that.
I mean, there's only 12 teams in the WNBA, and in the NBA there's 30.
30, yeah. And like a lot of those teams fold. Like a lot of those teams, like it's to the point now, like they don't make enough money to do anything. It's to the point now, I think it was 4 years ago, you don't even have your freaking logo on your jersey no more. It's an ad. It's a ad, and it like literally says angry. It literally says like your name of the team may be on the shoulder. Because like in the NBA, like it's the reverse. It's the ad, the sponsor that's right here, and Lakers, Heat, whatever on your jersey. But like in the WNBA, you get the whole ad in the middle of your chest and your team name in the corner or your team name on the back, which is like crazy. We don't know if we playing, like if GoDaddy is playing. Like it's crazy. Like it's crazy. Like it's really insane.
Like, because even when you say that, even with you saying that, and it's only 12 teams in the WNBA and they're not making as much money, like I get that. And so the interest isn't that high. But even with you saying that, there's out of 12, 8 are male, only 4 are women. Yeah. So even though they're not getting paid as much, it's still male dominated. So
I think it's just that and the lack of opportunity that they give women in general.
Now,
like
why? I mean, we know why, but from your perspective, why is there such a lack of opportunity, especially in female sports, women's sports?
When it comes to the WNBA, I have no idea. I cannot. That's one thing
I have
that
an
like.
Opinion. But go ahead with yours.
Okay, my thing when it comes to the WNBA, I have no idea why. Because it's like so many like legends. Because usually like we all know when it comes to the WNBA, we all know this. Like most of those women who play in the WNBA, because the WNBA isn't as popular as the NBA. We all know that. But it's only because of the lack of exposure and stuff like that. But most of those women who play like in the WNBA who are legends, we know they're legendary from college. Like we know that's where they get their name from. and stuff like that. Well, in the NBA, it could be a little of both because in the WNBA, all the women go to school for 4 years. And
Exactly. That's what I
yeah,
was gonna say. Why
all the
wouldn't
women go
you
to
want
school for
a
4 years.
coach who like literally graduated from college? And then a lot of times when you hear about a woman after they retired about the WNBA, they're running some type of business. So wouldn't you want that type of leadership on your team?
Or going to the it's either that or they going to the college ranks and coaching, starting off as assistant coach or being a head coach. And I just think it's so many people, it's so many like women who could coach in the WNBA. But I think it's like I said, it's two things. It's like the lack of exposure there, and then it's two things. A lot of those women, like most of the legends that like from what I've seen, like the trends in the last couple years, they go to college because they're gonna get paid way more. It's a lot more money in college than it is in the WNBA.
College basketball, for instance, has a higher revenue, higher value than the WNBA.
I'm gonna tell you something. What is the number? If you don't know this, what is the number one money grab in all of NCAA sports?
What do
the
you
NCAA
mean?
tournament. That's where they make their most money. And not the national championship, not nothing else. They make their most money because you got to think about it. It's 4 straight weekends of basketball.
Yeah.
And it's literally a month of basketball in different sites around the United States with packed houses. So they make their most money from there because you go get somebody like
you're saying like from the tournament, almost
from the tournament.
Okay.
NCAA makes their money from there. And so like you get people like Don Staley, who's at South Carolina, with the SEC backing them up. And like not only do they have a good women's basketball team every year, but they have a good baseball team every year. They have a semi-good, okay football team every year. And then you go to UConn, where they're known for they're known for basketball, men and women. Like that, they're legendary in basketball. And so they win both of their schools, men and women win multiple championships every decade. Like we're not gonna go a decade without those two programs winning a national championship. So all that revenue comes back to schools. So you're not gonna get, when you don't have that much money going into the WNBA or that many people going to see the WNBA, and they're playing they play in the men's arenas, and so it's shared mostly with hockey teams and then NBA and WNBA. When the WNBA isn't getting packed houses every night, you can't really pay them. However, the NBA can do something about that because it's, like I said, they're under their umbrella.
Correct.
They can do something about that, but at the end of the day, it's gonna like start being a negative effect. Like you start pouring all that money in the WNBA and like they're not doing any, like you say, they're not doing anything to help themselves. I don't think it's that. I just think it's just not as popular. Like it's not as popular.
Why isn't there more women coaches in the NBA? Since the NBA has like is popping and got all this money, because let's
opportunities.
Yeah, exactly. We have this season there was 6 assistant women coaches, no head coaches in the NBA. When you think about leadership, leadership for basketball is what you have to communicate, motivate. You have to be understanding, and you have to have the ability to connect. That's how it is in sports. You have to have the ability to connect with each player. So when I think of those type of traits, I usually think of a woman because that's how we are. So I don't understand why, even in a male-dominated sport, why us women don't get that many opportunities. Wouldn't you think we would understand and connect with people better? We already do. That's a scientific fact. So to me, before you go, I'm about to give you my opinion on why
Go ahead.
It's not a thing. Because to me, when people think of leadership, I feel like people think of men. I think people have an unconscious bias where leadership and power are synonymous to men.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
directly associated with a male.
Exactly. Like I feel like this bias will also make, like, let's think about every time a woman been compared to a man with the same qualities and the same achievements, but somehow the woman is still deficient when compared to the man with the same qualities and the same achievements. So I think that's, at the end of the day, that's really what it is. Because if it wasn't, we would have equal or more women coaching a women sport than men. Or we would at least have way more women coaching men's sports than we do right now. That's
true.
Me.
That's true. I don't think it's of course, like, again, lack of opportunities, but my opinion on it is like, I think it's a lot to do with people afraid of change. And like, you could even take it like a step further with saying like at one point it was no black players in the NBA, right?
Exactly.
And then like black players
There's
came.
actually no black women head coaches in the WNBA right now either. But that's
at
a
all.
whole nother conversation.
Yeah. So like, you go, like, you take it to the point where you it was no black players in the NBA, right? Then black players come to the NBA and dominate the sport. Been dominated for decades now.
Exactly.
And then like, the change happened. Of course, like, more revenue started coming in and all that stuff. But then like, when you speak on like women coming, I just think people are afraid of change. I think it's like you said, the whole resume thing. But people will say, I've heard this, like, people say like, well, they won in college and won in the WNBA, but they I don't know about them winning in the NBA. And I'm like, how can you say that when you never like got a chance? I think like, if you could coach or speak to, like, it don't even have to be coach. If you can speak to people and like lead them in any way or whatever, and you want to like put that, like, you want to direct that to like one profession, then I think like it's possible. I don't care what your gender is or anything like that.
I agree with you.
Becky Hammond, who is an assistant coach for the San Antonio Spurs, I think she's going to be the first. I think she's going to be the first woman coach in the NBA, and I think it's gonna.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think it's gonna happen within the next 2 years. It may happen because everybody knows Pop. Like, everybody knows Greg Popovich. I think like, I don't think he's gonna retire anytime soon, but I think Greg is like 74. I
He
think
needs to retire.
I think he's like 74. And I think like, if the Spurs decide to like, do something they never really done and rebuild, I think he's gonna like take a front office job or something like that, or just quit basketball altogether. And I think Becky Hammond is gonna be the head coach there. But it's so many positions.
Do you think the game where she where he got kicked out and she had to basically replace him for the remainder of the game, you think that kind of solidified that for her, that opportunity for her?
I think it solidified it because I think it even well before that, just the way Pop talks. Like, I can listen to Pop talk all day long because like, he's not a boomer who's stuck in boomer days. He's a progressive thinker. And the way he talks, like, he shuts people down. They'll say something like semi derogatory about Becky or something like that. And they'll say even some stuff like you are you gonna let the lady, or it's gonna be a woman coaching tonight for you since you're out sick? And he'll say, what does that have to do with how she coaches? Like, she's a coach. That's what she is.
I think a lot of this issue is like what we're getting at the root of all of this. Isn't it sexism?
Yeah.
Gender inequality is sexism. That's what it is.
It really is. It really is. It's sexism, and like, and I guess that could be synonymous with not like getting opportunities. Like, if you could coach, you could coach.
Yeah.
You could you could coach. And Becky Hammond has been on the staff for what, 4 years now? She obviously can coach. Like,
isn't it also the same reason why we got stuck with Donald Trump when Hillary Clinton was clear?
Speak it, girl.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
And that's crazy because her achievements and qualifications superseded any of the ones that
Blew
he
him out the
had.
water.
And when people still compare her to him, she still came out on the bottom. I just don't understand it.
Because of her gender.
So we know it's sexist, but what do y'all think it would take for women to be held as viable candidates for jobs like these?
Opportunities. That's
And I'm talking about even like I'm talking about women's organized sports that they're even playing for.
Isn't it systemic in a way, or systematic in a way, where these constructs are set up in a way to where women are not gonna be put or able to hold these positions of power unless there is a more progressive male in power to sort of get their foot in the door.
I mean, that's still kind of synonymous with like getting the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, it's still
like,
the opportunity, but that opportunity, it's not like that woman can make that opportunity for herself.
Opportunity. Yeah,
it's a man.
So the
has
thing
to be able
is,
to do it.
Yeah, so the thing is, like kind of like what you was just saying, Mia. Like, one thing I'm afraid of, like when women start getting more of the opportunities, it's just like the same thing. Because, like I said, I associate it with being black. Like,
Yeah.
one of the things I'm very much afraid of when black head coaches started getting jobs, like when black men started getting jobs in sports, like head coach jobs, GM jobs, I'm like, they used to set them up for failure because they would like hire them. They would hire them for a team that wasn't going to be good in the next 3 or 4 years.
And then fire them.
And they would fire them and be like, "Look,
them.
we hired you niggas.
We gave these niggas a chance.
We gave you niggas a chance, and we see it. You see it didn't work."
Darrius, before you continue, do you think that is like the effects of the Rooney Rule? Like, we're gonna
the Rooney Rule is one of the dumbest. The Rooney Rule.
We're gonna interview them, and we're
wait. Hold on. What in the hell are y'all talking about?
The Rooney
Break
Rule.
Break it down.
The Rooney Rule came. I can't give you the exact year, but the Rooney Rule came into effect in the NFL because black people in general weren't getting coaching opportunities, weren't getting opportunities to do anything. So the racist NFL, who everybody knows I hate, decides to say, you know what? Every time a coach interview, let's say the Texans had a coach in a job come open, they say you have to talk to, like you have to interview. I'm gonna say what they said. You have to interview one black person. So it started turning into them interviewing one black person, and like black people would come out, these black people in positions in the NFL, defensive coordinators, and all, they would come out and say, they literally called me and asked, "Hey, would you be interested in this job?" or something like that. And then I would say, "Yeah, I'm interested in the job." And you know what happened? They wouldn't hear from them again. They would mark their names down
as
if they were interviewed.
Because they
spoke
the dumbest rule. It's the absolute dumbest rule in the world.
Do you think there has been one coach in the history since the Rooney Rule has been created that was hired, like interviewed and hired because of the Rooney Rule? Do you think it actually was effective at all for any of the black coaches that was hired in the NFL?
I think most of the black coaches who were hired and had like success over like let's take like the last 20 years. Like most of the black coaches who've been hired, and you know what, it's not much, but like many of the black coaches that have been hired have like been very successful. Like the two off the top of my head, you had Tony Dungy, Mike Tomlin.
Yeah, it's
Mike Tomlin. Yeah,
Tony Dungy was the head coach and matter of fact, Tony Dungy got screwed over. Tony Dungy was the head coach in Tampa, and they were like, "Well, look, we're gonna let you go or whatever." And
did he get let go?
He ended up going to Indianapolis, and he got Peyton Manning, of course, and he ended up winning Super Bowl. But
that
you know,
you were a huge fan of.
Yeah,
right?
that's like my favorite team.
Was too.
But like you think about stuff like that, he got messed over because the next year, the Tampa Bay Bucks win the Super Bowl with John Gruden in 02. And he's in Indianapolis, and it's the team that he built. So everybody says the dumb stuff, like they say the dumb stuff like, well, Gruden got the job done, but like
he did it on
literally
Tony Dungy's
team,
Wow.
the team that he built. He may have changed a few things or whatever, blah blah blah, but like like a lot of the personnel did not change, and so like it didn't change much, and so stuff like that is like very 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 annoying. The only time I don't give it a pass is only time I can think off the top of my head is when Mark Jackson got fired from Steve Kerr, because they played completely different than when he was there.
Okay.
And it's obvious because like as soon as Mark Jackson leaves, they win 2 championships
they started
in a
finding
row.
real success.
Yeah, they started like because they changed the complete way they played. But like stuff like that, like I don't know. But Mike Tomlin, like like that's somebody who's successful. But you look at somebody like last night, Todd Bowles, who was defensive coordinator for the Bucks. He's and mind you, like I don't really watch the NFL anymore. Like he was the head coach for the Jets, and he got fired and they hired someone who was a less of an achiever than he was, and then look what he does last night. Like I was looking this morning on Instagram, and like that was the least amount of points Patrick Mahomes ever scored in his career.
Yeah,
he didn't score a touchdown in the game. All this stuff, and like it's insane. Like they don't get like it's like disgusting. They don't get a chance. Like it's very annoying. It's racist. That's really all it is.
I mean, at the end of the day,
the root of it. That is
so since you obviously just like hate the Rooney Rule so much, I mean, my next question was going to be, do you think there should be some type of gender version of the Rooney Rule that will give more women opportunities?
I mean,
you could call it like the swish swoosh, or the swoosh
rule,
the swoosh rule.
I think that's tough. That's tough for me because like at the same time I want it's a lot of like qualified women for especially for basketball.
Yeah.
But like it's kind of like hard because how do you regulate that? It's not gonna happen in the NFL. That's never gonna happen.
Yeah, no.
Because
so what do you think about I'm not looking for it happening to the NFL no time soon.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe not ever. But what about the NBA?
The NBA is kind of tough because like I look at the NBA as being like very people who are in charge, they're very progressive. And like it's like a type of wait and see type thing. But like when you start doing that, like I'm afraid like women are gonna get like passed over, and like even if they get passed over for like head coaching jobs, I think they'll get assistant jobs. But I don't see like anything that's gonna
even though women have been getting assistant jobs in the past few years, it kind of like it was a trend. There was 11 women last season and only 6 this season.
Oh yeah,
it seems like it's just. It went up. I'm
not gonna lie. It was a trend. It was a trend for a minute, and I definitely noticed it too because it was like Pop. You could tell Pop is somebody who's like a man. Like I think him and Coach K,
right. You can tell he was actually looking for a good coach.
Yes, he was looking for a good coach, and like I think that was genuine. Like she's still there. Pop don't have no problem with hiring or firing anybody. Like he will fire you he will fire you in the middle of the season if he don't think like you're a good coach. And now not only is she an assistant coach, she's the lead assistant.
Exactly.
If he gets ejected out of a game, if he gets ejected out of a game, if he's sick and can't miss a game, if he has any type of person, she is the person who's coaching the team like that. Like that. Like before he comes to practice, she's leading practice. So like she's obviously a good coach. But like as far as like implementing a rule, like it has to be something with like clear and concise, like something that like makes sense. Not just saying we gotta interview a woman, like because I think is gonna turn into
What
the
happened with the
woman
Rooney Rule?
version of the Rooney Rule. It's gonna
Right.
be like, oh, we interviewed Becky
We
Hammond.
just gonna talk. We gonna
Yeah,
call them
we're
and
gonna
see if
talk
they
to you.
interested,
Yeah,
and then
we're gonna
put
see if
down
they
we interviewed
interested.
them.
Yeah, I think
Right.
that's what it'll turn to. I think it'll get ugly before. I think like it'll be ugly before it like becomes great
Right.
Do
or
you
something
think
like
it
that.
is of any interest to the NBA to actually implement a rule like that? Maybe not in the next 2 years or so, but like, do you think they are, since they're more progressive than other
Mhm.
sports, would they ever start moving towards that?
I think the only way they will start moving towards that is if a woman gets a head coaching job. I think
Okay.
that would be
Oh,
the only way.
well, maybe she'll get it in San
Yeah.
Antonio, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe she'll bust down
Open
the
up them
door.
doors.
Yeah, I mean, one can only hope, I guess.
And like it's crazy. It's 2021, and we just starting to see multiple
Right.
women coaches in basketball. When
Yeah.
Becky Hammond got hired a few years ago, it was all like, oh my God, it's
Oh
a
my
woman
God, it's a
coaching.
woman.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Like what in the world? Like Becky Hammond played basketball in San Antonio 4 years, was
Mhm.
like a dominant basketball player in the
But I
WNBA.
bet you most people know her as one of the first women to be hired as a coach in the
Mm-hmm.
NBA versus someone who dominated
Dominate. Yep.
Right.
in the
Very true.
WNBA.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
true.
Good point.
It's very true. It's very true. Like I don't get it, man.
What did you say? What bias? Unconscious bias?
Unconscious bias.
What it is?
Unconscious bias.
I just think they want names. I think when it comes to coaching opportunities, it's all about names. And most of
Yeah.
those names are male names. That's
Yeah.
Right.
really what it
But
is.
that's why I say it's a part of a larger system at
Mhm.
work that's been
Right.
in play since whatever the beginning of that sport. So
Mhm.
you know
Right.
that's that is a huge undertaking to even try to speak on challenging
Mhm.
what's at work. So
Because all the sports were created by men, and they were all men league. Women didn't get the opportunity to play, so it's like a whole thing you have to break all the way down.
you definitely provided us with a lot of insight, and I knew you would because I've been knowing you all your life. I knew you was gonna come with it. You spit straight facts, gave us a lot of information. So I did want to end off our conversation with some not so rapid fire questions. We played this
Okay.
once before.
Let's
We're gonna play it
go.
again. You gotta go off the top of your head.
Off the top of my head,
I'm gonna see what you can do, but just whatever comes to mind. And I know how very like deliberate, but how methodical you are when it comes to sports. I just want to see what your answers are. Okay. Favorite baseball player.
Derek Jeter.
Favorite basketball team of all time.
Cleveland Cavs.
Okay. Favorite football team when you were into the NFL.
Indianapolis Colts.
Favorite football player when you were into football.
Peyton Manning.
Who is your favorite basketball team right now?
That's my dude.
I don't have a favorite basketball team. LeBron is my favorite, but if I have to pick from that, I'll go Phoenix Suns because I love Devin Booker.
Okay. And I already know your favorite basketball player is LeBron James. Is that
LeBron
your favorite
James.
basketball player of all time?
Favorite basketball player of all time. Greatest basketball player.
Whoa.
Okay.
LeBron James.
LeBron James. Favorite tennis player of all time, female.
Serena.
Favorite male
Better be.
tennis player of all time.
Arthur Ashe.
Oh, nice. Come on, Black History Month. Favorite boxer of all time.
Ooh,
Mm.
good one, Mia.
I don't want to say Muhammad Ali because
Right.
that's
It's
cliche,
Right.
but I
cliche,
like the way he was arrogant
Yeah.
and talked. I like that.
he
But
is the greatest.
Who do you like? Whose ability to box is your favorite?
I like Sugar Ray. I ain't gonna
Okay.
lie.
I take that for
Okay.
sure.
I like Sugar
This one
Ray.
is totally out of left field. Favorite NASCAR driver.
Who black? Bobby.
Room for everybody
No,
black.
I'm not gonna lie. My
Rooting for
favorite,
everybody black.
my favorite one. Like when I was a kid, I never watched the race. My favorite one was Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Yeah.
Oh
I
my
like
God,
him.
no, mine was what's his name? Gordon,
Jeff Gordon.
Jeff Gordon.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking about. He had
totally different
DuPont.
people.
His thing had the
The
DuPont on the front. Yeah, that's him.
Okay.
That's him. That's
Favorite
him.
baseball team of all time.
Oh, come on now. Come on now. The Yankees, the New York Yankees.
Okay. Favorite player right now.
Mike Trout.
Favorite player of all time.
Ken Griffey Jr.
Did I say that one earlier? I said favorite baseball player. Okay.
Yeah.
You said this one earlier, but favorite college coach for the record, basketball.
Oh, Coach K.
Okay. Favorite 30 for 30.
Broke.
What did that have to do with?
Broke was about how athletes came to
It was
the
so good, yeah.
they came to the league in different sports, and how like either it was like the humble people who was trying to take care of so many people, or it was the people who ain't never had that and was buying 8 cars
blowing that money.
And by the time they retired, they were broke. Like they were like looking at people were making like $300 million in their whole year, in their whole like career, and like they had $10 in their account. Like, today.
Do you remember the guy? I can't remember who he was, but he had like got his last check, and he passed by like this dealership and ended up buying like this fully loaded like luxury car with his last check from the NFL.
Priorities, man. Priorities.
You need to watch it, Mia. It's really good.
I definitely will. Favorite college dynasty? Basketball.
I mean, Duke technically didn't have a dynasty, but I think the dominance of UCLA in the 60s and 70s, like that can't be matched. How can you win 10 straight championships? That's insane.
Right. Okay. Favorite NBA 2K?
14.
Okay. Some people might have something to say about that. And then lastly, favorite basketball shoe of all time. Who was the person who made it? What was the brand?
Oh, God. I'm going to break that down into 2 parts.
Okay.
My favorite shoe to wear with a pair of jeans in my 30-year-old age is Jordan 1.
Okay.
Jordan 1.
Yep.
It's my favorite pair. They go with everything when it comes like with tennis.
They absolutely do. I'm trying to get my hands on some.
My favorite shoe to hoop in, however.
Yes.
Kobe's.
I knew you were going to say that. I'm about to say Kobe Bryant.
Which is
Which
crazy.
Kobe Bryant?
Which Kobe's?
Kobe. Either 5 or 7. Like
they
are like
fives.
they are so comfortable. It's hard to break because they so similar. Like it's hard
and
to break.
They got that ankle support.
The ankle support, and they don't even. Oh my God! Like they're so. It's like walking
over here talking about these shoes like she know what she talking about.
I used to have a pair of 5s.
Okay. Ain't never played basketball a day in her life, but she got played.
But I had some 2 pair of Kobe's.
But if we talking about like right now, my favorite shoe to hoop in is Paul George's shoe.
Okay. Interesting. Well, that was our not so rapid fire question round.
Those were so rapid. They were so rapid though. They were not. They were not.
It didn't take a lot to think because he is a sports connoisseur.
Yeah, like he was answering like that.
He knows, so he could do this in his sleep.
Usually, it's like 2 to 3 minutes per question.
That's easy. No, when it comes to sports, that's easy.
Oh, it's off the top of his head.
It's off the top of my head.
Yeah, he was built for this. He was made.
I see. Like Darrius, I'm gonna start calling you Mr. ESPN. Like for real, you have earned the name.
It's really weird. Like I don't understand like where it came. Like when I was like 11, 12, like around that time, I just
honestly, you just have so many facts. I want to say that you taught me a lot. Like you have earned your name, Mr. ESPN.
Thank you.
And there's some things you said that I was just like, I don't know what he's talking about, but I'm just gonna roll with it. Thankfully, Mia played basketball, so she understood.
It was a great.
Yeah, thank you for giving us your insight about our topic today. Mia told me that she always wanted to have you on, and when I talked to her about this early, she was like, I have the perfect person. So I'm glad that you were available to talk to about this and also answered our not so rapid fire questions today. And
Y'all should brand that. Not so rapid fire. Y'all should brand that. That's good.
We working on it.
No, we should.
I knew you would be the perfect person to have this discussion with. I know all of the guys are going to tune in because y'all flock to sports talk.
Definitely.
Like a moth to a flame. So it's gonna happen. Oh, and I meant to tell y'all this. I meant to tell Jeanne this really. We have more male listeners than female listeners now all of a sudden.
Yeah, I remember you had mentioned that.
It was like 50-50. Now it's
right.
Like 51-49.
I remember you mentioned that, and I'm so glad that Darrius went so in depth when he spoke about sports because I couldn't really dive too deep. I know a little bit, and I know like the things that everybody else know. But there's some,
to be
exactly. And I know a lot of current facts, but you knew a lot of historical things, and you was like, yeah, because in the 90s, in the 70s, I was like, yeah, I
don't even think, to be honest, I don't even think I went into detail like that. I really did.
But you had enough detail to where it was like, oh, he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah. Before we hang up, Darrius, go ahead and plug your social media, and if there's anything you have going on right now, let our LDBs know. Okay.
So if y'all want to follow me on Twitter, that's where I talk a lot of
very
shit.
Active.
That's where I talk a lot of shit at. If you want to follow me, it's Pipe Down, yo. It's PIPDOWYDOWN. Dang, I can't spell. YO. Like, y'all go follow me on there. I like having fun on Twitter. I mean, if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm hella boring on there, but it's just Darrius Piper. But
you post really cool pictures on Instagram.
Yeah, but it's mostly of me and nature. That's it. So follow me on Twitter.
There you go.
There you go. Thank you so much again, Darrius, for coming on. And thank you, LDVs, for listening in this week. And we will talk to you guys again next week for another Not So Private Conversation. Bye.
Goodbye. Thank you so much, long distance besties, for joining us again for another Not So Private Conversation. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram at Jeanne V. Williams. That's at Jeanne, Jeanne V. Williams, and at Perfectly Mia. That's at Perfectly MIA. And if you have any topic suggestions or any questions, shoot us an email at notsoprivatepod@gmail.com. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We definitely appreciate it. Remember to leave a review on Spotify, Apple, and Google. You can also find us at Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Overcast, and Breaker. And you can find us on anchor.fm/NotSoPrivatePod. Now you can also hear us on YouTube. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, the Not So Private Podcast channel. Now, with all of that being said, join us next time for another Not So Private Conversation.